Well, one thing I want to cover here, actually, I do want to cover this. I've been seeing a lot of things come up in regards to Martin Truex Jr.
Retiring.
either retiring or extending with Joe Gibbs.
I heard Kenny Wallace say while he was in the booth that he would announce in the next 3 races whether he was staying or retiring.
Now, what do you guys think Martin Truex would do? Because, I mean,
I think he's staying.
I don't know. I really don't know.
But, well, at the same time, they're struggling to find Kyle Busch sponsorship. So Kyle Busch is not retiring. Let's face it. He's not retiring.
No, he is not. He's still got
it. So it's just one of them things where they, almost force Martin Truex into retirement.
I don't think so. Well, I take that back. I see where you're coming from there because
his sponsorships kind of carry over to Kyle Busch, and then they move, Freight Train up.
Well, and I was thinking the same thing. I mean, I'm thinking Martin Truex, if this is the scenario I see playing out, Martin Truex Jr. retires at the end of 2022 because he has really nothing else to prove. The only thing missing from his mantle is a Daytona 500.
Yeah.
The year he won the championship, he won pretty much everything that season.
Yeah, and he won it with a team that nobody else would want to drive for. Let's face it.
Right. Although it was
with Furniture Road Racing.
In Furniture Road Racing, the only reason they were bought out and absorbed by Joe Gibbs Racing is because though it was a Joe Gibbs affiliated team, it wasn't a Joe Gibbs car who won the championship that season. It was a dominating performance by Martin Truex Jr.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because even Kyle Busch had complained that year about why are we getting outrun by our own equipment?
Yeah, Truex and that whole team put on a dominating performance, a clinic.
Week in, week out.
And that was a single car team. Right?
Car team. And that was
based out of Colorado Springs, or Denver, Colorado.
And you can only equivalent that to what Kyle Larson did last season, just dominating everything. He was always a contender everywhere he went.
Yeah.
And now I feel like if Martin Truex Jr. retires, Bass Pro Shop picks up and goes with Kyle Busch. If Joe Gibbs Racing says, no, we're not going to re-sign Kyle Busch, we're going to keep Martin Truex Jr. on, I don't know where he goes. We're going to have to figure that out later on in the season. I
don't think they do that only for the reason because Toyota has been so vocal about
keeping
Kyle Busch.
Right. And who's the weakest link there? I mean, we see Christopher Bell have a future there with Joe Gibbs Racing. Denny Hamlin's future is up in the air, and whether he goes to his race for his own team, 2311, or
can't race. Well, nowadays you can't race for your own team, though.
Why not? Tony Stewart did it.
That's changed since then, though.
If
I'm not mistaken, it has.
Is there a rule that says you can't drive for your own team?
I don't think you can be. Well, he might can. I don't think you can be majority owner and drive for your own team. So,
well, then just sell.
He might not be majority owner though. We'll get into some stuff on that later on in the show too.
I think that's I don't know that rule either, but I mean, Denny Hamlin's future is up in the air too. But really, what the focus on is right now is I think Martin Truex Jr., like Charlie said, leaves Joe Gibbs Racing. And Bass Pro Shop goes over to Kyle Busch. And that sucks because I think M&M's was a great sponsor for not only NASCAR. I mean, every kid you saw in the stands who had a M&M's shirt on, they love M&M's. And, quite frankly, I'm surprised to see that happen. And I'm surprised to see it come to this. And there's going to be a lot of moving parts between now and I feel like the midway point of the season before the playoffs start to see where Martin Truex Jr. goes, because he hasn't won a race this season. And I don't know what
he's really just now starting to get some momentum. I mean, he's had some good runs lately. But let's face it, so is Christopher Bell. Christopher Bell started out the year with just wrecking everything he got into. And he's just now getting runs going. So
But Christopher Bell is somewhat the future of that organization until Ty Gibbs comes up to the Cup Series.
Yep, until he starts wrecking everything.
Until he
or everyone, whichever comes first.
Right. Until Ty Gibbs comes up to the Cup Series season, we're seeing now in Joe Gibbs Racing a change into the guards. And it was kind of growing pains, just like Hendrick Motorsports was a few years ago when Jimmy Johnson left. And then Chase Elliott came up and William Byron came up and Alex Bowman stayed in and moved around in that organization. It's a shifting thing, but I feel like it's going to pay off in the long run for Joe Gibbs Racing. Keep Kyle Busch. Unfortunately for Truex, I mean, what else does he have to prove in the Cup Series? I don't think he has to prove a daggum thing.
If I was somebody like Trackhouse, I'd be going after Kyle Busch.
Yeah, why not?
I'd be like, you know what? To heck with Toyota. Like, yeah, Toyota wants to keep you, but your team don't. So whatever. Like, who, you know, in the end, Toyota's not going to just pay for you a ride. So
Toyota's not going to open their own racing team.
Yeah, it's not going to be Toyota Racing. So, you know.
Well, what if he does go to 2311? This being Kyle Busch, what if he does go to 2311 instead of just staying there with Joe Gibbs? I mean, it's Toyota affiliated. It's a Toyota team. Why not go there and be a senior driver?
I don't think he would go. I don't think he would leave Gibbs and go to a Gibbs affiliated team. That just don't make a lot of sense.
That'd be bad blood. I wouldn't say bad blood, but it would.
Yeah. I think that's why you'll never see Denny Hamlin leave Gibbs and go drive for his own team either.
Right. If Denny Hamlin retires, he's going to be a full-time team owner.
That's it.
That's it. And I don't blame him. But, I mean, it's curious to see what's going to happen here in the next few weeks.
Because I think if you see Denny Hamlin go drive for his own team, it's going to be because they wind up breaking away from Toyota altogether and go – that'd be when like Dodge comes back into NASCAR and they offer them some massive money or something like that.
Right.
To break away and be like, look, we want somebody that is running decent like Kurt Busch because he's the only one running decent in 2311 team anyway. But anyway, we want y'all to run Dodge.
Yeah. I don't know how that will throw into it. I think it'll throw an interesting wrench into things, but Tracy Arnett, by the way, happy belated birthday. We wish you a happy birthday, but we wanted to shout it out here. Tracy, who is a big Martin Truex Jr. fan, huge Truex fan. This guy just loves Martin Truex Jr. and you know, he brings up a good point here with Dale Earnhardt Jr. And it's not a full-time season, but he is an owner in the Xfinity Series, and he does race in the Xfinity Series, though be it one time a year. I mean, could we see Denny Hamlin? I mean, we have to confirm the rules, but I think that might not be it.
Yeah, but, you know, we also see the cars registered under different car owners, though. Whenever we talked about that last episode.
Okay, then. Well, there you go. It's just going to have to be we'll have to wait and see type moment here with Martin Truex Jr. I hope if he stays, great. If he does retire, well, then he has nothing else to prove. He'll be a future Hall of Famer one day. And I will just have to wait and see on that one. I'm glad let's just say this. I'm glad I got to see him at least win one race if he does retire at the end of this season. So, I mean, but anything else before I just wanted to bring that up. I know we've been kind of chatting about that. I wanted to get your guys' opinion on that. But anything else before we get into this weekend's races?
No, I'm good.
No, we'll jump into IndyCar.
Hey, Ramblin' About Racing Nation. Like what you just saw, make sure to check us out at ramblinaboutracing.com and all your major podcast platforms for the audio version of the show. Or if you just like watching Ramblin' About Racing, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for upcoming episodes.